Hello everyone and welcome to IELTS with Gabi. I'm Gabi Monteiro, I'm your IELTS mentor, and here we are for another live. This is an extra class requested by some of you, not specifically this exact class, but the theme of the class we'll be talking about today. And then we will be talking about writing, and we will be doing more than that actually. We'll be correcting an essay live and one of your essays. So I asked everyone that participated on IELTS First Steps, the free event we did last week, to send me an essay if you'd like the chance to have it corrected live by me here and now. And then some of you did, some of you said they would and didn't, but that's fine. We have essays to correct today, and let's see how much we can get on. Before we start, let me know in the chat if you can listen to me, if you can see my screen, because today more than ever you do need to see my screen when we do the correction. So please let me know in the chat if everything's okay. Let me think. I have one more note before we start. That is, while I am correcting the test, I'll probably not be able to see your chat, but I will be checking. So if you ask a question and I don't answer that question right away, it's probably because I'm not reading your question because I'm correcting the text, but just be a little bit patient. I'll come back and then I'll check the questions and I'll answer all the questions. So when you have a question, just pop them in the chat and I'll go through them as we go along the class. Cool, great, you can listen. Thank you for all. They already left the thumbs up in this live. That's amazing. Do leave the thumbs up if you're enjoying the content, and especially when you start seeing how I correct the exam and how you could get your exam corrected by me as well. I do have IELTS Fastpass next to me here, which is my complete preparation course. At the very end, I'll explain a little bit more about the course, but for now let's talk writing, shall we? And then let me switch the screen here so you can see and correct with me the text that we're working with today. So first, the writing exam on IELTS is the last written exam you do from the written test. So you do listening, reading, and then writing. So it lasts for 1 hour and you write 2 texts. That is task 1. That for the academic IELTS, the IELTS more focused on universities, applying for universities, you do a graph analysis. And for the general IELTS, the one that's more focused on visa, immigration, and other programs, other immigration programs, you do a letter. But for task 2, everyone, doesn't matter if you're doing academic IELTS or general IELTS, you will write an essay, and that's what we're going to work with today. It's a minimum of 250 words that you have to write for that essay, and because you have 1 hour to write the 2 tasks, IELTS itself suggests that we spend about 40 minutes to write task 2, to write that essay. How are we assessed during this exam? So we are assessing 4 categories, and we talked about this in last week's classes as well. Task achievement is basically, did I answer the question correctly? Did I answer what the task asked me to? Coherence and cohesion is, could I connect my ideas and make sense of what I was saying? Lexical resource is vocabulary. Not the most formal, crazy vocabulary you can find, difficult vocabulary you can find, but rather the specific vocabulary you need to make sense of what's being talked about in that theme. So it's a themed vocabulary and not necessarily the most formal one. And grammatical range and accuracy, different verb tenses, present, past, future, conditionals, passive voice, and if you could use them in the right place. So we're gonna have a look at that as well. So while we are correcting the text today, what I want you to pay attention to are those topics here, and this is what we are going to look out for while correcting. which is clarity, meaning can I understand what's being said in this text? And what we want to know is, can I read this text once and understand what's being said, or do I need to read more than once the sentences to actually understand the point? The assessment categories, so all the 4 categories we just talked about. Paragraphs, it might seem very obvious, this one, but believe it or not, I've had texts for me to correct from IELTS candidates that were 1 paragraph only. Can you imagine what is the 250 words in just one huge block of text? It's really bad for the reader to understand what's happening. So we're going to be looking out for paragraphs if they make sense. There is no set order for how many paragraphs should your text have. You could have 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, 6 paragraphs, how many paragraphs you want and fit your text. What do I teach Fastpassers, the students from my complete preparation course? The 4 paragraph essay structure, because it's simple and it fits to every single thing they can give you. So then you don't have to keep inventing. And then is again one less thing to worry about once that exams come. You know a structure that you can fit into different themes, and then you can adapt as you need while you go. So we're gonna look if there are paragraphs, if they make sense, if there's not too many paragraphs or too little paragraphs for the text to flow. We're also looking at organization. Again, does this make sense? Was the idea A introduced and finished there, or we started talking about A here and then we talked about all the alphabet and then we talked about A again and then we concluded? To see how clear that is, we're going to be looking at spelling. Remember that we can have American spelling or British spelling, it doesn't matter as long as it is a constant. So if I spelled something British way, continue doing that throughout your entire text. Same thing if I spell something American way, just do that for the rest of your text. Vocabulary, again, I don't want the super difficult, hard vocabulary. I won't know what it is and I have to go to the dictionary to look it up. I want the vocabulary that is specific to that thing, makes sense. I use synonyms, variety of words, didn't use very too much, use extra, highly, specially, extremely, or whatever it is that you need for a synonym in the sentence that you're writing. Also, I want to see if there's opinion in the right place. That's one very common mistake. And this, I haven't read the text yet. I literally just copied the text from my email and pasted on this document so we could correct together. So I don't know how it is, but I'm gonna guess that the conclusion is wrong. And that we're going to be talking about how the conclusion should be made in the text, and it's one of the keys, and it's already going to change your writing, how you think about the writing, and it's what you should do, and it's what you do once you become a Fastpasser and once you have my complete preparation. So let's start by doing that. First things first, let me zoom in a little bit more so you can read it better. Let me know if it's not good or if you need it bigger, but if I think that should be fine, because otherwise it's too big even for me to be able to correct it. So the task we're working with today is, some people think that keeping pets is good for children, while others think it is dangerous and unhealthy for them. Which viewpoint do you agree with? Give reasons for your answers and include any relevant examples from your own experiences and knowledge. Remember, you have to write at least 250 words. What is the task then? Before we actually dive in this text, tell me in the chat, what are the 2 sides we need to compare, contrast, compare, and agree with one of them in this essay? So what is the information that they gave us in the task that needs to appear in your introduction and throughout your text from this prompt? Let me know in the chat, what are the 2 sides we have to work with today? And then I'll change the colors of them so it's easier for us to see what it is. So again, the prompt is, some people think that keeping pets is good for children, while others think it is dangerous and unhealthy for them. Which viewpoint do you agree with? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own experience and knowledge. So we have here already participants in the chat. Thank you very much. Pets are good for children and pets are dangerous and unhealthy for them. That's exactly it. Those are our two. I'm gonna have to zoom out just so I can edit it. So one thing we have is keeping pets is good for children. So that's one side we need to talk about. And the other one, it is dangerous and unhealthy for them. So these are the two viewpoints we need to contrast. We are talking about a text with a minimum of 250 words. This text here, the main text we're working with today. I have another one. If we have time to mention it as well, I think it will be interesting to have the two different takes on it. But let's talk about this one first. This one here has 292 words, which means it's fine, right? We needed a minimum of 250, then we have 292. So let me just change my editing to suggesting so we can really edit the text. We're gonna read it once, do some grammar corrections, then we're gonna read it again and as many times as we need until we catch everything we need for the correction of this text. So again, is keeping pets good or bad for children? Basically, that's what we want to know. So the text starts as, according to my opinion, keeping pets is good for children because it may help us to secure the house while we are not at home. But based on my experience, you can still see everything, right? It moved a little bit. Let me just adjust the screen. Cool. So based on my experience, sometimes pets are pretty dangerous and unhealthy when we do not take a good care of them. When we do not take good care, we don't need that A. And some of them also like to get close to children. But on the other hand, children like to provoke other pets. So very quick grammar notes here. So we have not take good care of them. It's taken and directly what it is. We don't need the object there. I don't really want to get into the details of grammar here. I don't think that's necessary for us to understand the text, but I do have to correct it. And then there were many use of likes or both likes actually when referring to children or them. That's plural, so we don't need the s there for the verb. So they also like to get close to children, but on the other hand, there's a very common mistake. It's not in the other hand, it's on the other hand. Children like to provoke other pets, not provocated other pets, sorry. Last year in 2022, so yes, we have all the borings in, on, at, and how to deal with them, to things, to places, and to time. So a very, very quick tip here, because we can't really go through all the grammar while correcting the task, but a very quick tip is, imagine it as an inverted pyramid. The bigger part is the in, so in is always regarding big things, so for time, big periods of time like years, and then on it's going to be more specific, and at very, very specific. So we're going to use in for years. So in 2022 I used to have one pet and its name, and then this its is without the apostrophe. With the apostrophe, it is name, but here we want to possess the name to the pet. So its name was Sky. So when my pet was born, I took her to my house and fed her, because we're talking about in the past, like a kid. I bought, because we're also talking about the past, and then Sky is the name, so we need it to be capital letter. I bought Sky's milk, but the milk doesn't need to be capital letter. I bought Sky's milk, food, cage, pillow, medicine, etc. Then here we need to capitalize that when. When Sky started to grow, let's just keep everything in the past. to grow up. We got, yeah, let's change to, we got really close to each other. Wherever I went, because we're changing the verb tense, Sky followed me, but then Sky, it's a name, so we need a capital letter. And when I went out without her, Sky screamed loudly, loud and louder, no, louder and louder, or she screamed loudly, and that's it. Okay, there's a lot. I'll just go once through the entire text, and then I'll come back suggesting how we can improve the sentences, okay? So, one day my niece and nephew came, because we're all talking about things that happened, right? Came to visit me at my home. They tried to play with the dog, and instantly my pet went through them. It looks like Mai wanted to play with the children. So the dog surprised them, and it also happened too fast, until all of the children scared of Sky, so the children ran without looked what's in front of them. So they ran through the water tank that put underground. Some of them sink, but we saw the moment happen in front of us, and we pulled them fastly and held them, oh my god, and helped them. So there is some suggestion by me. Normally, keeping some pets always has advantages and disadvantages. You better, let's put a period here. You better prepare yourself and have responsibility, because if you don't do that, you will regret it. And that is all about my opinion. I do not forget to say thank you. Okay, so what happened with this text is that it's not an IELTS essay, not even close to what an IELTS essay is, which is fine because that's exactly what we're here to do. So I really just wanted you guys to write as you thought it would be, for us to correct and really show that there is a structure, there is something they look for. This text is basically if someone was orally telling me a story about what happened, which is kind of wild with the falling into the the hole and all of that and getting saved. But I don't know about you, but I got very confused when reading the story, because just like we do when telling a story orally, things changed in the middle of a sentence or from one sentence to the other, and then it wasn't really connected in the text. Also, there is one, well, conclusion is wrong, as I predicted it would be without reading it, because that's the most common mistakes anyone makes when starting to study for IELTS, not understanding how they want the conclusion and not really understanding how those paragraphs need to be. So in length, the text is okay, but in the other categories, no task achievement, cohesion, lexical resource, grammatical range and accuracy, which is here blank for us to fill in, it's not okay because it does not answer the task. The task is it good or is it bad, or is it dangerous and unhealthy? And yes, we do have one personal example here, but it's not really clear. It's not really debated both sides. That's the point. So we need to talk about both of the sides the essay is giving us, the task is giving us, and then in the conclusion show our opinion. So I'll do it's almost like there was no planning to write this task, which again, it happens, it's okay. So let me just real quick draw a plan here with you on how it would look like for this task, and then we're gonna look at the other one because I think we might have time. So the introduction would paraphrase the task, which is showing both sides, plus give a teaser. You can tell a little bit on what side you're tending to go. Paragraph 1 would talk about one of the sides, let's say the unhealthy one. Then this is actually paragraph 2 and this is paragraph 3, would talk about the other side, which will be it's good for you. It's good. What's happening, dogs? Good for children. And then we would have the conclusion, which has to give you an overall of the text with other words so you don't repeat, plus your clear opinion on the topic. So this very simplified here, and you can see it's quite simple. It's not supposed to be complicated. It's what the test should look like for this task. We need a clear contextualization there in the beginning on what is the topic about. Then we need both sides of these arguments very well developed, meaning I say what I want to say, I explain it, I give an example to sustain it, move on to the next one, and then when I conclude, I show an overall with some words. So we're gonna basically rewrite this text here. The example could stay. However, it's interesting that you use argumentative paragraphs. They are more generalized. So you're not going to write you or I in these argumentative paragraphs, because these are for you to show that you can write in a more, not analytical, but a more generalized way, in a more, SATs types of exam, these more formal types of academic papers, but you do need to give your conclusion in the end there, your clear conclusion. The I needs to appear, and then a way for you to remember that is that the I is in the conclusion. There's an I there, so you need the I in the conclusion. So what I do here is, it already started here. According to my opinion, keeping pets is good for children because it may help us secure the house while we're not at home. Here would be a period as well. But based on my experience, I want suggestion. Yeah. But based on my experience, sometimes pets are dangerous and unhealthy when we do not take good care of them. And some of them also like to get close to children, but on the other side, or on the other hand, children like to provoke other pets. So here we have many ideas mixed in the same thing, when actually, and then I normally do this in the assessment down there, but I'll do here so it's easier for you to compare both paragraphs. So it will be something like, it is said having pets, it's a real delay here on my keyboard, having pets can be dangerous for children. However, some believe that it is in fact healthy and good for youngsters to have contact with domestic animals. I agree with the latter group. So here, showed both sides, showed which one agree, and then we're gonna go to the arguments. It's not a huge introduction, it's very simple, and it already uses a variety of vocabulary. So I said children first, but then I said youngsters, so it shows synonyms. And then before I said dangerous, and I didn't say unhealthy because I wanted to use healthy in the second sentences. Then we said pets here, but then I wanted to say animals, but it's not any animal, is it? It's the pet, which is a domestic animal. So that was also included there in that introduction. I'll keep it very simple just because we won't have all the time in the word to do it. But this is more what we want for an introduction. Also, passive voice, really good. Generalize the idea, great verb tense to use. Then we have the example here for actually both paragraphs, right? It's about the same example. Also, I was very confused. So Sky is a dog, or is the dog another pet in the story? They appear. I think Sky is the dog, right? It's the same dog that plays with the kids in the other paragraph, and then the chaos happens. Let's take it like that to make it easier for us rewriting it. Okay, so then we can say some families have dogs in the house to help keep the place safe when they are away. This can be a great, what are we gonna say? Not feature. This can be a great strategy. This could be a great plan. Let's go with plan. However, it is important to be cautious that dogs around toddlers, well, missing an L, an R, around toddlers could misjudge their strength and be a danger to the child. For instance, and then cautious. Oh yeah, mistyped there. For instance, and then you go for the example we have here. Oh, the actual point here is that the dog was jealous of the owner, isn't it? So this can be, however, it is important to be cautious that dogs can misjudge their strength and be a danger to the child. And then we can say here, not to mention the fact that pets get attached to their owners and can get, my keyboard is really slow compared to what I'm typing, so it's really annoying, and can get attached to them and can get jealous with the lack of attention once there is a child in the household. Just so we use a different word as well. In the household. Cool. And then for instance, and then here we can add the example. I'm not gonna write everything, people, because I want us to have a look at the other essay as well. But then we rewrote that idea for that paragraph. And then we have the other side of it, right? So here we said the good thing, keeping it safe, bad thing, the danger that it was with it. There's another problem here, isn't it? You can't agree that it's a good thing if all the examples are about a bad thing, isn't that? So I agree with the first group. Quick fix for our example here. Okay, and then we have the next paragraph on the second example we have here, which is the crazy story about kids falling in a hole because they were playing with the dog. Yeah, I think that one's quite tricky. I mean, it's actually real. It seems really real and very scary as well. It's quite tricky to use it as a more generalized example. It's so specific, but it's great. Okay, so let's do it. So then we said some families have dogs, keep it safe. However, they be cautious. Blah blah blah. It is important to be aware that animals play in different ways than humans, and as much as they can exist in the same room, they act differently in front of trouble. Picture this. Children in a playground at a park, and a dog decides to join. They are all having fun when one of the child runs too far and starts running faster from the four-legged friend, which is a dog, synonym. From the four-legged friend, when suddenly they fall in a hole. Is that what happened? Scared, so they look to what's in front of them, so they run through the water tank that goes to the underground. I'll just call it a hole so it's easier for our purposes here. Some of them sink, so they really go underwater, right? And that's the moment in sort of suddenly they fall in a hole and need to be rescued by the adults in the area, as the dog could not do much in that situation. That makes sense? In front of trouble there, one of the children run then too fast and start running. No, one of the children runs, because it's one of them, and starts running faster from the four-legged friend, and suddenly they fall in a hole. Oh my god, spelling, Gabby. In a hole and need to be rescued by adults in the area, as the dog could not do much in that situation. That's such a specific example. Cool. And then we need to go to the conclusion, which in this case was like a suggestion. Keep them at home, advantages, like this, it has the advantage and disadvantage, was kind of the overall, but it's not exactly what we need here. So what we would have, it's something like, although some people believe having pets, it's mainly beneficial, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages in this case. Actually, it is mainly beneficial. No. Although some people believe having pets, yeah, is mainly beneficial, I agree with those who claim that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages in this case. But then we have a conclusion, we gave an overall, we gave our clear opinion about it, but that's something wrong with it still. It's a one-sentence conclusion. It's a phrasal paragraph, which is bad, because it shows our lack of control over the language. So we need another sentence here, and then we can use one of the we can't add a new idea, but we can use another, we can reuse an idea we had in the text before, and over, Jesus Christ, the words disappeared from my mind right now. We can reuse one of the ideas we had before with different words, so we're just, saying it again with synonyms, but in a conclusive way, because that's what a conclusion is. God. So then here we can say, agree with those that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages in this case. Parents should be aware of the dangers of having a pet around a child in the house and on external areas. This is all shown in the text before, but you're saying it again. What's wrong with my, oh, and in, sorry, places in external areas. It's showing it again with other ideas. So then here, let me zoom out a little bit. We have another idea of this text, but in a written vocabulary. It's a written text. Sentences are connected. It's not a story that's being told with so's and this oral vocabulary. But we have that idea. Now it's connected. It actually presents both sides of the task. It has your opinion in the end. There are examples that sustain it. I would say though, because I did this one based on the text we had before, so using the same arguments, I would say though I would transform one of the paragraphs only on the advantages and the other one only on the disadvantages, and then concluding it. So that would be what it would look like more on it. Let me just have a quick look in the comments you guys made. Yeah, so that was a comment here on that actually the first paragraph was a positive thing because the dogs keep the company, and then it's the throwing in the tank horrible thing. Thanks for correcting the whole spelling and all the corrections actually, thanks. Yeah, see, it was confusing to me, this text. It could have just been me being tired now and not realizing it at first. But what I wanted in the first paragraph is actually who he's going to agree with in the end of the text. Yes, paraphrasing, that was the word I wanted. Oh, I sound British now. I should be. Been living here for over a year now. Should be start sounding British. So let's just fill up these comments real quick, and then we'll quickly look at the other test. So the test was not answered completely. There was a lack of argumentation and clarity. Well, argumentation, clarity and connection between ideas. There was the correct number of words though. There was progression in the text for coherence and cohesion. However, it was extremely repetitive with the so's all the time. Extremely repetitive, lacking connection between ideas and arguments, and with a very oral communication mark. So good vocabulary, what I normally do in the text is I go back in this text and I find the good vocabulary you have related to that thing. But then on this text that we had as a base here, the vocabulary was very similar to the task one. I'm just quickly going around to see if there's something that stands out that is different. Like feed the animal is a good vocabulary for this task because it's very specific. So feed will be on the other hand or side as it was used. There is also a good connector. Food, cage, pillow, medicine, etc. I forgot to mention this. Don't use etc. in your arguments because it seems like you didn't develop your argument 100%. So list and then pause your list. You don't have to say every single thing there. Let's see, anything else that's like that really stands out from it. Well, lots of repetitions of pets and children as well, right? Meaning that we didn't even know it was a dog until randomly the dog appeared in paragraph 3 and then it's Sky. So pay attention to that. Water tank was actually a good one. I could have kept water tank actually in the rewriting of it. Here's the rain through. Let me fix that. Don't know if you guys can hear it, but my neighbor is singing his heart out now. Yeah. I think that will be it. So we had some vocabulary to work on, and then for grammar, that was present simple for sure. That was past simple, however, it was not correct all the time. That's why I put the little star there. Do we have modal verbs? Do we have continuous during the story? We have used to, that's good. Modal verbs, past. Don't have any if. Yeah, so we have modal verbs, we have used to. I'll put used to, it's different than just past because it's special. So here, what I could have seen, it's passive voice that I rewrote a lot with. That could be conditionals, maybe a perfect tense, depending on what you're talking about. It's not necessary, but it's other more complex structures that could have appeared. Maybe even a continuous, you know, just like a present continuous, or maybe a past continuous talking about the story. Wasn't there like the children were running? No, the children ran. It was simple. Yeah, so we could have a bigger variety there on what's being written. So basically, this would be the kind of like very basic, simple structure that we could use to write this text. If there was a planning, the text would be a lot clearer from the get-go, right from the beginning, as that one. But I want to talk about the size of this text, which is 655 words, which is I'm sure it's a beautiful essay. We're gonna have one read through to look at the content and stuff. We can already see that Google Docs is not marking many grammar mistakes, so that's good already, is a positive. But 655 words is not necessarily a problem because it's a huge text, but it's a problem on time. It can impact how long it takes for you to write those 655 words. We don't know if you could make that under 40 minutes, up to 40 minutes, so you have those other 20 minutes to write task 1. Okay, so I'll just quickly read through it with you, and then we just comment on things, and I'll give some suggestions, but I won't have time to go in all those details for it, okay? So again, we need to know if having pets is good or bad for children. Like everything else in life, decisions surrounding children and pets always have advantages and disadvantages. Nothing is ever 100% risk-free, and as such, sad decisions should rely on the careful weighing of the benefits they can bring versus the impact they can cause. Taking this into consideration, I agree that it is beneficial for children to keep pets so long as it is done in a safe, supervised way. This introduction, I should have not rewrote the other one. Could use this one as an example. So here we have both sides of the argument. And then we also have the opinion that's going to be defended throughout the text that will have to appear again in the conclusion. So let's see if that happens. The benefits of also, I'm going to mention this now before I forget. No contractions for writing. So the other text had contractions. I removed them. This one already doesn't have contractions, so that's great. Let's see if it keeps throughout the end. The benefits of children keeping pets are many. Among them, we find that interacting closely with animals teaches children to be kind and gentle to others, especially those often considered lesser than them. That this helps develop their empathy and their appreciation for all living beings. It also teaches them to be responsible. Depending on the child's age, they can take on more and more tasks related to the care of the pet and develop habits and a sense of duty towards the care of another. Very clear, we understood the idea here. I would say there was quite some repetitions of children and pets. So work on those synonyms. Children can become child, if it's very young, toddler, youngster, or the young person, which is not the best one, but you could use like that. Or the youngest in the house could be used as well. And then the pets can be domestic animals, or just animals, or dogs, cats, fish, whatever it is, the pet of the example there. In second place, a great reason to keep pets is that when these animals form connections with the youngest members of the household. Oh God, it seems like I didn't read this before, I swear, and either the writer read my mind or I'm reading the writer's mind. So in second place, a great reason to keep pets is that when these animals form connections with the youngest members of the household, they are known to protect them fiercely. There are registered cases of dogs and cats protecting kids from other animals' attacks, saving them from potential accidents, and even rescuing them from fires or other catastrophes. Not only that, but animals are also known to protect children from abusive situations, both verbal and physical, which can be very important when the abuse comes from within the house. Very clear as well. The arguments here, and pay attention to that, they are very developed. So there is the idea, and then that idea is explained, and that explanation has an example. So you really developed 100% of the argument here, which is what we want for the essay. To conclude, the main benefit of allowing children to have pets, we find that animals have been shown to significantly boost people's mental health, and this extends to kids. Having a pet to keep them company and play with whenever they need, it is a great way to ensure the kid won't feel alone or abandoned. And the presence of a pet can also aid children with limited social abilities to form friendship bonds with others. Most people who had pets growing up remember their interactions with them as some of the happiest and fondest moments of their childhood. Again, really good idea. Won't was the first contraction we found in the text, so it shouldn't happen. Will not feel alone or abandoned. Yeah, good, cool. Let's move on. However, pets come with their own set of risks and problems. The most important thing to remember is that they are, first and foremost, animals, and therefore have a full set of instincts that can come into play at any given time. Instinct is a really good word that I could have used when I was talking about how dogs play differently from kids. So that's a key word here for the theme. Well done. This is particularly problematic around children, especially when they are very young, because they have more difficulty understanding limits and remaining careful. An especially enthusiastic pat in the head or a sudden scream on the child's part could result in a startled animal and, in consequence, an accident. Other factors, such as territoriality, can also cause the pet to become unexpectedly aggressive. Again, well done. Very clear here on the idea. Another concerns parents tend to have when considering a pet is hygiene. Animals can carry bacteria that is dangerous for human beings, especially those whose immune systems is not yet fully developed. And once again, children's lack of awareness leads to a higher risk of them bringing these bacteria into their mouths, eyes, or other vulnerable spots, increasing the chance of infection. Taking into consideration all these factors, I believe the certain measures should be taken to ensure that kids can keep pets and enjoy all the benefits of them with the minimal amount of dangers, such as ensuring that the species, race, and age of the pet are adequate to introduce them to children, and that it has been properly trained and vaccinated beforehand. Additional measurements, such as strict parental supervision, especially during the initial introduction period, the careful instruction of the kids as to what they need to watch out for and how to correctly treat the pet, and the establishment of hygiene rules can significantly reduce most of the potential risks involved. As long as all these elements are taken into account, I am a firm believer that keeping pets is a fantastic thing for children, and it can greatly improve their life's quality. So here we're gonna switch the quality of life, or we should have written their lives, a posture of quality. Cool. So I would cut 100% of this paragraph because we have too many words, and then the second paragraph for each of the arguments, we don't need them as well. In this case, from the benefits, just mix this two. I would say mix these into one idea only and cut the words down. I can see what I'm writing. The however stays, we don't need this solution paragraph for IELTS. I know we do for other academic purposes. For IELTS, you don't need to come up with a solution. It's really just your opinion. And then for your opinion here, beautifully, there is the opinion here, and then all the elements taken into account would become a detailed overall of the text. Overview, it's a better word here. Overview of the text, making it two sentences so you don't have a phrasal paragraph. I know it hurts. I'm sorry I cut so much of your text, but it's because there are too many words here we don't necessarily need for IELTS. So basically, if you plan your text, you have a better result to it in a quicker time because your text will be organized and clear. You just need to say your opinion in the conclusion. For sure, we need the I in the conclusion. We need to structure that exam, and we need to understand how to actually write it all in this clear, connected way, so the examiner can see that both we know how to write in English, we can carry arguments, and we also know what we're talking about there. Okay, so that's a very quick run through on how we correct the essays and how we can improve on our writings and what you need to have in your writings. On IELTS Fastpass, which is the name right here for my complete preparation course, there are 4 writing modules. So we go through all of the detail to the point of the structure of the paragraph, how many sentences you normally have there, how can you adjust, how can you study that in your routine and make that really part of your day, even if you, oh, I got stuck writing this style, what do I do, how do I fix that? So IELTS Fastpass, it's not only about writing, it's actually a complete preparation course on the exam. So as soon as you join the platform, you have 6 modules, an introduction module explaining overall of how it works, organization module, how do you study, what to study, what activities you can have, how to adapt that to your routine, and you're also provided with a study guide with suggestions on what to do daily. You have a vocabulary module so you understand how to get those synonyms and how to know which synonyms to use when writing the texts. Grammar modules, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, with all the grammar in English, but for you to support and really continue developing your general English knowledge. And then the strategy modules, they're guided by SVN method, right, which we used in the entire class today. So listening module, reading, speaking, and the 4 writing modules with every single detail on every single question and how to write every single text and how to do every single thing in this exam based on SVN method and with exercises, of course. Then we have study guides, I already mentioned. You have a Telegram exclusive channel for you to get more information from me. There's an assessment English exercise as soon as you go in. So what's your English level, so you can see where you are to where you want to achieve. Pulse modules and classes exercises, so you actually put into practice to understand if you could learn how to do what I was teaching and if it made sense, and where you need to go back and redo stuff. Complete IELTS mock test, more than one, and you can really have this experience of how you would do on your IELTS for listening and reading. There are corrections for writing and speaking as well. I correct 2 writing mock tests per student individually, just like I did here, but with more details, because then I'm not restricted in time to go live with you. I have my own time, so I can really take long and go detail for detail. I rewrite your text if I have to, just like we did today, to show you how it should be done. And normally I do need to rewrite tests on the first time you send me the text, but then the second time you send me the other mock test, you already kill it because you understand when it should be changed, and then I just help you improve even more. Same things go for speaking. On the speaking, you send me the videos, and then I can correct everything, can correct your posture and everything we talked about on our speaking classes. But it's really in detail and it's very individual. It's me watching your video only and giving your feedback just for you, reading your text only and writing down the feedback just for you on your writing as well. And then all the classes are recorded 100% in English, just like I teach you here. So you can watch whenever you want, how many times you want. If you have one question, and today Mayada sent me that. She's a Fastpass and she's like, oh, I was doing the reading mock test and I couldn't get that right. So I went back to the class. I watched that bit from that type of question, got it right, and then moved on. So that you can do. There's also bi-weekly live classes with me, Q&A classes, speaking practice, some other thing I can bring up for us to work together. So you can have this contact with me every other week and ask me questions directly. It's a 1 year of access, but it only takes 2 weeks for you to have all the content available to you. So you watch as fast as you want, as slow as you want, on the pace that you want, and it makes sense to you. But throughout the entire year, you are entitled to get my support and to get my corrections in throughout those days. The corrections that you have, right? The 2 writing corrections and the 2 speaking corrections. You get any updates we do to the classes as well. If there's any new classes, if there's updated supporting material, you're gonna get it all. And you can try our platform for 7 days. If you go in Fastpass today and you're like, actually, I'm just annoyed by Gabby's voice, it's not really what I think will work with me, that's fine. If it's within the 7 first days, you can request a refund. You lose access to everything on IELTS Fastpass, but it's okay. I won't get angry. We'll still be friends. Everything will be okay. The decision is in your hands. It's just a way for you to test if it works out. But there's some more special bonuses for you. So the first 8 subscribers to this class that ends on Wednesday will have individual mentorships with me, 1 for writing and 1 for speaking. The first 10 subscribers will participate on the speaking workshop with me, so we'll actually practice just in the small group for a longer period. Everyone will get an extra writing and speaking correction, so not 2 mock tests, but 3 mock tests of writing, which are 6 writing tests corrected by me. And then help me on my math, it's going to be 9 speaking videos that I will correct. And everyone from this class that closes on Wednesday will also participate and join me on a writing workshop. I've never done a writing workshop before with Fastpassers. This will be really exclusive and new for this class only, and we'll have this longer class really going in depth in text and really correcting and rewriting and working through our writing skills together. You're not alone when you're doing IELTS Fastpass. I'm always there guiding you, supporting you, if it is with the content of IELTS, if it is also with your motivation needing to come back, because that's also very common for me and the Fastpassers to talk about how to stay motivated to get to IELTS Fastpass. So if you think IELTS Fastpass is a good fit to you and you want to prepare in this more easy, quick, practical, stress-free way with SVN method, making your path towards IELTS quicker, easier, smooth, just join IELTS Fastpass. Subscriptions are open with all these bonuses only until Wednesday. So the clock is ticking, people. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Don't come crying for me on Thursday, please, saying that you missed the deadline. It is Wednesday. You can join right now and get your bonuses. The link is in the descriptions or in the chat for you, or also on my Instagram. And if you're unsure if it's the right time for you to join IELTS Fastpass, come chat with me on Instagram at IELTS with Gabby, and then we can discuss and really see if it's the time. I've said no to people before. I told them it's not your turn yet, wait a little bit. So let's really figure out if it's the right move for you now. If you know it's the right move for you, what are you waiting for? Click on the link, just join, and then I'll see you on IELTS Fastpass. Let me just see any of your comments or any of your questions before I say goodbye to you. On the text, it was cut down later. Cool. And then some thank you for the session. Well, you're very welcome. I'm here to help. The essay structure is much easier in direct format than the eternal thing I got drilled into my head in school. Exactly. IELTS is different. IELTS is not what we're used to doing, so we do need to understand how the exam works by itself. And that's what I'm here to do. and help you with. So yeah, so thank you for joining. If you have any questions, just ask me on Instagram at IELTS with Gabby, and I expect to see you and I hope to see you on IELTS Fastpass, making a move and really making your IELTS come true this year, getting your band score and moving on towards your dream. Thank you for joining me. Hope I helped, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.